Welcome to BonVoyageTV. I'm Gerard Murphy from BonVoyageCruises&Travel, and I'm joined by Olivia van Leerop. Welcome.
Thank you.
In fact, welcome back.
Yeah, and to you too. We've both been away for a bit.
Yeah, people are saying you've been on holiday, but mine was hard work.
I think mine was harder, for sure.
Now, you've been to India.
Yeah, it was absolutely
Now, that was a business trip
crazy.
because you went on a course, so
Yeah.
tell
so-
us brief highlights, because we're going to cover India with you in a later show in more depth, because
Okay.
you've got so many photos and everything.
It's just hard to know where to start, and it was just crazy. But so the first month was supposed to be this course, and it was amazing. It exceeded my expectations of the course. It was really incredible. The teacher was amazing. He's a really incredible healer and therapist, and he's been studying since he was 7 years old, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. And anyway, he decided to cut it short a week, so the course only ended up to be 3 weeks, really intensive. And then he goes up to Nepal and he looks after about 2,000 street kids and families in Nepal, and has a massive project up there. So that
left
meant
you a week's extra travelling.
I know, that we didn't plan for and we didn't budget for. So we thought we were originally going to do Sri Lanka and stay south, but it was so hot. The temperatures were reaching about 40 or early 40s, but the humidity was about 80% down there, so it felt late 40s to 50, and you're just constantly
melting.
Wet. Yeah, just sweating. But I didn't actually mind it that much, because you feel quite clean. You're drinking about 10 litres of water a day, and it's just water coming out. I don't know. It's a bit gross, but I didn't mind it. And then anyway, we decided to go north and get to some cooler weather. So we went to Rishikesh, which I didn't like very much, and then continued all the way to Dharamshala, which is the Tibetan exile. So the Dalai Lama obviously came there, and he's got his temple there, and a lot of the Buddhist monks have followed. So that was a really beautiful place to stop for a week, and just to get away from the hecticness of India. It's just so full on, whereas up there it's India, but it just doesn't feel like it as much, you know. It's the more Tibetan people, and they're just gentler, and you know, it's just quieter and more relaxed. And so yeah, we went to Rajasthan, and it was so hot, but you're fine. And we did, really quickly, we did Delhi to Jaipur, down to Sawai Madhopur, which is the Ranthambore National Park, and that's where we saw the tigers. We're just so lucky.
You were lucky because we've sent a number of people there,
Have
and
you?
not all of them have seen tigers.
No.
And if you do see, tigers have stripes for a good reason. It's camouflage, so if you do see them, sometimes you only see bits of them.
Yeah, they're
They don't
incredibly
move.
camouflaged. In any sort of setting, they're camouflaged, aren't they? It's amazing. But everyone told us you need to book in for about 3 or 4 safaris to get a good chance of seeing one. We went on one safari, we saw 2 tigers, and we actually saw one tiger take down a big samba deer. So we watched him stalk and kill a samba deer, which is just a once in a lifetime.
That's David Attenborough stuff.
It is real, yeah. It's absolutely, it was crazy. So we watched all of that happen and just walked away, just so shell-shocked. But it was actually weirdly quite beautiful to see. Sounds strange, but I've been told, I did Kruger National Park, and I kind of wanted to see that, and people told me, no, you don't want to see it because it's really horrific. And you know.
Nature.
But it was, and it was weirdly peaceful. You know, there was no noise at all. The tiger took the deer down and just lay on top of him and, you know, had him locked on his neck and just lay like that for 8 minutes. I filmed it. For 8 minutes it didn't move, and the deer couldn't move, and
Well,
the deer
we
just
won't
died.
watch the full 8 minutes, but
No.
later
I'm
in this...
sure it wasn't that peaceful for the deer.
It's not called wildlife for nothing.
But, so that was amazing. And then we went down to Udaipur, which was beautiful. That's like the Venice of India. It's really gorgeous. And then up to Pushkar, Delhi, Chennai, Kuala Lumpur, home.
Well, in a later show, we'll actually put that on a map. It's a bit hard for you to imagine these things on the desk.
Yeah, and I can go through it more. It was really a trip of huge ups and downs, huge. It's just a country of extremes and constant contradictions, you know. So, yeah, amazing.
Well, as you know, I've been travelling, and my trip was a trip of contrasts.
Yep.
Because I spent 4 days just around Anzac weekend in the battlefields of the Somme and Passchendaele area in Belgium. And I became a groupie of the New Zealand military contingent who were there for the celebrations and commemorations.
Nice.
And on the last day, one of them said, "Not you again." Not many people follow them around, but I did.
Yeah.
But it was, I have a great uncle who's buried in the Somme, and my wife's great uncle there as well. So I had an expert tour guide pick me up, and we went round for the whole day, and that was fantastic, because trying to do it by book and map, you'd know bits and pieces, but you miss things.
Yeah.
You miss a lot. But it was very strangely emotional. I wasn't expecting it to be. But the commemorations with the New Zealand contingent particularly were very, very special. And what I didn't realise until I was there is how seriously the local French and Belgians take the commemoration of the New Zealand and Australian efforts.
Yeah.
And they turn out in big numbers for dawn parades and town parades and everything. We've got some pictures here. The other thing is that the Maori culture group adds something. And I know that at the Anzac ceremony, because New Zealanders and Australians in the First World War fought separately,
Yep.
so they don't often have commemorations together. But on the last day, on Anzac Day, there was a joint commemoration.
Yep.
And talking to one of the Australians, he said, "You're so lucky having that Maori side to New Zealand. All we got to do was sing Advance Australia Fair." Because the New Zealand ceremonies, the Maoris introduce the ceremony, they lead the parade in, they have the karakia, they have everything, then they have the singing and New Zealand anthem in Maori and English.
Yeah.
So we're getting double for our money.
Yeah, it's pretty special. It sort of
is
stuff
great.
gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? Yeah.
So, and the other thing is that the ceremonies were very special. Hearing Now is the Hour in Maori at a dawn service in the middle of France is
Pretty
really quite
special.
haunting.
Yeah.
So they were very special commemorations, and the locals take it very seriously. One town, Le Quinois, in the Somme, is very New Zealand oriented. New Zealand troops rescued them or freed them only about 8 days before the end of the First World War. They came over the walls of the city. The Germans never expected them to be able to do that. New Zealanders used ladders on top of other things. Came over the wall, and in the end, after a short battle, the Germans had enough. This is, basically they surrendered. But the town of Le Quinois, which has got a sister city relationship with Cambridge in the Waikato, that town is totally New Zealand oriented. There's New Zealand flags everywhere. There are New Zealand street names. How many places do you know that have a town square called Place des All Blacks?
None.
None.
That's amazing.
This town does. And they have Rue Nouvelle-Zélande, Rue Aotearoa, Rue Neo-Zelandese, which is New Zealanders. And there's even, which I couldn't find, but they tell me it's there, a Rue de Helen Clark.
No.
True. But they treat it very
so
seriously. They have a big town parade. We followed the town band right through the town to the New Zealand Monument. Got invited back to the mayoral chambers for lunch, which was actually an hour's extra speeches disguised as lunch. But it was all very special, and particularly being able to find the graves of our great uncles was very, very special. My tour guide asked me, he said, "Do you know if anyone from your family has visited before?" I knew that my great uncle had been visited once, but my wife's great uncle, we don't think anyone's been there in 98 years. And he said, that sort of, when you think our relatives and forebears gave their lives up there, and they've been left alone up there for 98 years, is quite strange and emotional. But it was a very special time. And if you do get the opportunity to visit the war, the battlefields and the war graves, I'd strongly recommend it. It's one of those things that I just feel New Zealanders should do, and it's very, very special. Yeah.
And going to Europe on these big trips, it's always really important to choose the right airline. So what did you go
It is, and one thing I have to say is I went on Air New Zealand, and Virgin Atlantic particularly looked after me. I was on the new 787 aircraft, and they always say there's less jet lag and all that. But I got to Europe, I had very special flights with Virgin Atlantic particularly. I got to Europe and I had no jet lag at all.
Really?
I was waiting for it. Day 2, day 3, nothing.
Nothing.
Dawn parades made me a little bit tired, but Virgin Atlantic particularly looked after me.
Yeah.
And I travelled premium economy.
Right.
It's very nice, so have a look at this.
Okay.
We've got the biggest crush on Graham Norton. So we flew all the way to his place so he could have a crush on us. Graham Norton's own Sauvignon Blanc. Southern Hemisphere grapes meet Northern Hemisphere fab.
Welcome back. So that's how I got to Europe. It was very nice.
Looks pretty lush. Lovely. And so tell us about the prices.
Well, it's not business class, you can see,
Yep.
but the big thing is you're getting extra leg room. You feel a little bit special because you're in a small cabin just with premium economy. You've got dedicated toilets and things.
Nice.
You've got that wander wall where you can go and get your own snacks.
Ah, good.
So it's really
That's
good. It's
ideal.
what business class probably started with years ago.
Yeah.
Much bigger chairs and things. So that you can get to London and back at the moment with Virgin Atlantic and Air New Zealand for $4,050.
That is pretty damn good.
It's pretty
isn't
good
it?
considering a lot of the business class fares, even the cheaper airlines are starting at $7,000 and run through to 12,000. So
Yeah.
it's a good deal.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I've heard that your trip was planes, trains, automobiles and boats.
Well, ships.
Yeah.
The real reason I went to Europe was Oceania Cruises had invited me to the christening of their new vessel Sirena, and I was in Barcelona for the christening ceremony.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
The godmother of the ship is a lady by the name of Claudine Pepin. Her father Jacques Pepin, and she have a big TV series in America.
Oh.
And they're very famous over there. She was the godmother. I just thought it really funny because I found this video later where she was being asked if she was excited about the christening, and she said this.
And I'm thrilled that Sirena is going to bring the world to wonderful, wonderful people in such a luxurious and beautiful way. I think it's going to be extraordinary, and the bottle better break.
And,
Well, of course, the champagne bottle didn't break,
oh, classic.
so they had to do it twice.
Yeah,
So
hilarious.
it was a special ceremony to be at. I particularly love the chaplain of the Port of Barcelona. He made it into a Catholic service. I think he was supposed to give a quick prayer and a blessing. It was nearly mass.
Oh, really? You like to talk?
He had been a sea captain himself, but he added to the whole ceremony.
Yeah.
And also the band who were providing the music, it was literally like some old guys off The Godfather
Yeah.
with the singers, but they were really good.
Yeah.
So it's a special ceremony to be at. Basically, all of the guests on the ship came off and were on port side. The crew were all lining the cabins and the railings on the ship.
Nice.
And it was a very special ceremony. I hadn't been to one before.
Yeah, very lucky to be part
Yes.
of it. Yeah.
I'd like to do more.
Yeah. Awesome. And then you went cruising after this? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
And as you know, we had Lisa. This is a I'd like to treat these as road tests. And we had Lisa from Oceania Cruises in a few weeks ago. And she made some claims, which we'll just have a listen to.
Okay.
The brand is really for experienced cruisers. Our tagline is the finest cuisine at sea.
And did it live up to your expectations?
It certainly did. And in their brochure, which beautiful brochure, they make some big claims. And at the launch ceremony, they made big claims. They say they spend more on cuisine than any other cruise line.
Yes.
And they boast the finest cuisine at sea. I can't prove that because I haven't been on all the cruise lines.
You've been on a fair few,
Been
though.
on a
I feel
few.
like you're a good judge.
But I have to say it was the best cuisine I had experienced to date.
Fantastic.
It was really good. You've got several dining choices. This is one of their smaller ships, 680 passengers. They have one main restaurant and 2 specialty restaurants. One is a steakhouse, cross between Italian and American steakhouse, called the Tuscan Grill.
It's your kind of food, eh?
My kind of food. I've never seen a steak so thick as the guy next to me got.
Wow.
And mine was as big as a plate. And the other one is Red Ginger, which has actually been a runaway success for them. That is Asian fusion, so it's a mix of Japanese, Chinese, European, and that is Master Chef Heston Blumenthal all mixed into one.
Yep.
Everything is served on Versace china, and I've never been a big thing for the quality of the china, but these dinner settings were beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they have a buffet restaurant which has a wonderful selection. That's indoor, outdoor dining.
Nice.
You've got an ice cream bar, hamburger joint, there's everything there. So
Very cool.
cuisine, Lisa was right.
It tops. Excellent. And it makes such a difference to your journey. That's
Certainly
great.
does.
Awesome. Oh, fantastic. And so what? You didn't leave port? You just sat there and ate the whole time?
Not quite, but usually I come back from these things and I've managed to have neutral weight gain. This trip I came back and had put on 4 kilos.
Oh, totally worth it though, by the sounds of it.
It was.
And so destinations, did you move around?
Well, we started in Barcelona, went to Marseille, which is the launching point for Provence tours. Had a wonderful day in a winery up in Luberon area. It was
Beautiful.
wonderful. Aix-en-Provence for a coffee. That was great. Next day went to Monaco, where my brother had flown to join us.
Yeah.
And that is just so special.
That's my old stomping ground.
It is beautiful. Monaco has to be the cleanest place in the world for a city. It's just beautiful. And you don't see any cleaners. It's
Just like that. It's just little ferries at night.
like that. But Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, super yachts,
It's the land of the rich and famous.
land of the rich and famous. We were neither rich nor famous, but
You can pretend.
we were sitting there right next to a big, huge Russian super yacht, this blue monster. And it's just very special. It's such a wonderful place to walk around. It doesn't have to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
We did a lot of our touring just on foot, and in these places you don't have to go far. And I like to think that what you need for this type of walking touring is open eyes, not an open wallet. It costs you a few euros here and there for some entry fees and donations.
Yep.
But we did the palaces and we did the cathedrals,
Yep.
we did everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's good train systems to move around.
You can move,
It's easy.
it's easy.
Yeah.
The next day was Saint-Tropez.
Oh,
And
lovely. Another one of my stomping grounds.
I had never researched what Saint-Tropez was like. I had more vision that was a little bit more like Nice with some high-rise and beaches and film stars. But it was even better than that. It's an old walled city. Unfortunately, the day we were
pretty.
there, all the Harley-Davidsons in Europe had turned up for a weekend.
Oh, really?
So you can imagine that walled city of Saint-Tropez with at least 2,000 Harley-Davidsons,
How bizarre.
all revving up, making noise.
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
It added to the experience.
Yeah.
And the beauty of being on something like Sirena with Oceania Cruises, you're docked at the little port, it's a gangway, that's it. You can go back to the ship at any time if you want a cheaper fare.
That makes such a difference, doesn't it? You don't have to wait for the tenders of the little ferries.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And finally, the last day was Porto Ferrer on Elba, and that I'd never ever thought about going to Elba.
Yeah.
That again was a special little town. It was so
Yeah.
much history. We walked into Napoleon's bedroom.
Yeah.
His house he was exiled to. It wasn't a house, it's a palace he was exiled to. Walked in his garden overlooking the Mediterranean. It's very special places, and they are smaller ports that the bigger ships don't go to.
So I've only just gotten back from my travels, but you've already got me interested in getting on a plane again. So have you got a good deal for us?
I have, and I've chosen a cruise that includes the ports we've talked about.
Good.
So look at this. This week's special with Oceania Cruises is a 10-night cruise from Barcelona to Rome. Visit some of the very same ports I travelled to recently myself. They're just fantastic. I've called it Lifestyles and the Rich and Famous. 10 nights Barcelona to Rome on the 19th of August. So you travel from Barcelona to Valencia, Ibiza, Marne, Marseille, which is where you get off for Provence, Saint-Tropez, fantastic, Monte Carlo, La Spezia, that's for Cinque Terre, Livorno for Florence, Pisa and Tuscany, Porto Santo Stefano, and finishing in Civitavecchia for Rome. This won't set you back much. It starts from inside cabins at $2,775, ocean views at $3,153, concierge balcony cabins at $4,799, and if you want to do the full Monty, the penthouse suites are $6,156. And to celebrate Sirena's introduction to the Oceania fleet, they've got a wonderful deal this year. You get free internet for the whole cruise and choose one of the following. You can have free house beverages, 4 free shore excursions, or $400 per person to spend on board. Those are great deals on the wonderful new Sirena with Oceania Cruises. If you want to know more, call us on 0800 266 869, that's BonVoyageCruises&Travel, or of course our website bonvoyage.co.nz.
Oh, that is much cheaper than I thought it would be.
They have some pretty good deals, and that's 10 days cruising,
Yep.
all your food,
Oh, and amazing food by
and
the
no
sounds
extra
of it.
charge for those good restaurants, the specialty restaurants.
Oh,
It's all included.
amazing. Oh, I would just
And
be
your
eating all
cappuccinos,
day.
all your special coffees,
Oh, nice.
and little
No
bickies to
wonder
go with
you
it.
put on weight afterwards. I would. Why not?
Well, we've nearly got to the end of the show, but you've found some news for us. So
Yes,
what
of
have
course,
you got?
of course. TripAdvisor has teamed up with music streaming service Google Play Music to provide travellers with 2 months of free access to curated playlists tailored specifically for popular travel destinations across the globe. The new feature aims to transport travellers to their destination of choice via locally themed playlists. Whether in the travel planning phase or on the trip, users will be able to take getting into vacation mode to a whole new level and access to these curated playlists.
What's the bet they have Frank Sinatra doing New York, New York when you arrive at New York?
Yeah, they've got to.
Turn
they've
it
got
on.
to, yeah. Travellers can listen to Cafe Italiano while sipping an espresso in Rome, rave to the underground club sounds of Berlin, or dance to São Paulo funk. The app will provide access to a fun and exciting array of well-known and hidden gem soundtracks for popular cities. So, that's fantastic.
Yep, so you get here and they start singing Pokeri Cariana. Or
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Dominion Road.
I like the idea of kind of sipping on your espresso and listening to music because it really does make the experience, it's huge. I'm not sure about the Berlin soundtracks because you don't really want to be sitting by yourself listening to like a hardcore rave, really, do you? You
Well,
kinda wanna
it
go
was
to
a
the
bit
club.
weird because I noticed that when you were sitting in some of the restaurants, a lot of the English was, a lot of the music was English. So it's all English songs. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, true.
Where's the local stuff?
It's kind of nice though sometimes. In Dharamshala, where I've just been in India, there was a cafe there that was playing Fat Freddy's Drop. I was like, oh yay,
Weird.
a little piece of home. Toss away your city maps and travel guide, sightseers. With these shoes, all you have to do is follow your own feet. These smart sneakers, proposed by UK budget airline EasyJet, are designed to guide the wearer around an unfamiliar city by using vibrations to indicate the direction in which they need to walk. Dubbed sneakers, the shoes are equipped with built-in vibration sensors and, via Bluetooth, connect to an app that uses a smartphone's GPS. The shoes then guide wearers on their walking expedition by triggering small vibrations on either shoe, depending on the direction the wearer needs to turn to reach their destination.
Now, I could have used this recently in Rome because I was on a bicycle
Ah, yes.
in a rush to get to a walking tour,
Yeah.
and I was going in the wrong direction because while the map and everything was correct, I had it upside down. Well, the map was upside down from what I was expecting, so I was going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes which way it means.
Then you couldn't see it because of the sunlight.
Yeah, and it's a bit hard to bike and then hold your phone. Sounds a bit dangerous to me. A wrong turn detector and route recalculation functions have been incorporated so that if a user gets lost or voluntarily wishes to leave the route, it will be able to guide them back onto the right course towards their final destination, the airline said in a press release. The left shoe transmits a vibrating pulse when you have to turn left, and vice versa on the other foot.
As long as you put them on the right feet, you'll be
Yeah, exactly. The app has been prepared to run in the background so users can keep their phones in their pockets without the need to follow on-screen directions. A prototype of the shoe was recently tested on the streets of Barcelona by users who reportedly reached various landmarks successfully, including around Gracia, one of the city's oldest neighbourhoods, a labyrinth of narrow streets with few signs to direct tourists.
Now, I've been there recently,
Yes.
and I did get lost because there are no signs and there are really no streets, and none of them are straight.
No, it's all over the place.
So I could have used these shoes.
Yeah, definitely. They sound extremely handy. One tester said, at first I was worried about feeling the vibrations, but the buzz box is in the heel and is easily sensed. Don't even worry about it. It felt a bit magical being guided by my shoes. It would, clicking your heels together.
And you won't feel like you won't look like a tourist, sort of looking at your maps and your phones and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Except for the shoes here are bright orange. So if everyone's wearing these bright orange EasyJet shoes, I don't know about that.
I think they're going to offer them in any colour.
Okay, good idea. I think you should tell them to do that. I'd be a little bit concerned about the vibrations too, because I'm really ticklish. And even when I get pedicures sometimes, the vibration on the heel makes me giggle.
That could be quite good if you've got good vibrations in your shoes and good vibrations on your soundtrack.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got it sorted.
It's all good.
Good.
Now, one thing, just to finish, you've been to India for 5 weeks or
7 weeks.
7 weeks, so you must have Olivia's top travel tip.
I would say, as my top tip, this sounds a little bit boring, the first thing that pops into my head, but I travelled on a budget airline. And I think if you are doing such a big trip, and if it is to a place, that is on the poverty line, and maybe travel is a little bit more difficult than other places, then I would get a flight where you can move the flight around if you need to. So with my flight, to change the flight if I wanted to come back
There's more than the
earlier.
airfare.
There's more than the airfare itself, exactly. So at the end, I'm really happy that I stayed for the full 7 weeks, but there were times in India where it was so challenging, that it felt like too much sometimes.
So your top tip is think about flexibility.
Yeah, think about just pay that little bit extra because I think it's worth it in the end. Yeah.
Well, my top tip is if you get the opportunity, always take a walking tour. You always get an expert who is really, knows everything about that one little area. We did a food and wine walking tour in Rome. What that girl didn't know about that 1 square mile and history and all the food and everything, it just makes the whole place come alive.
It does.
Things you'd just walk past normally or drive past, there's a whole bit of history just on that street corner.
Yeah, it's so true. And can I add to that, also, if you don't want to spend the money on the walking tours, then just tag along. So we're at the Taj Mahal and there's groups walking everywhere and you just kind of stand by them and you get everything for free.
I did try that at the Colosseum, but they were speaking German. I had no idea what they were talking about. So with that bombshell, Olivia ripping off people's walking tours, we'll see you next week. In the meantime,
Bon voyage.